So, all right, partitions. So I mentioned that I do a lot of land litigation. One component of the land litigation is partitions, undivided land. Many people own undivided interest in land with their siblings, with cousins, whatever. And sometimes they feel like they're stuck. Oh no, I got 10% or 20% undivided, 20% interest in this land, and that's the way it's going to be. Well, you can partition the land. And so what does that look like? You've got partition in kind and partition by sale. Partition in kind, and that's, I'm going to say, the most common, obviously, that I deal with, rural land. We had about a 3,000 acre ranch that was partitioned. Sometimes you have one huge big tract, other times you have 10, 12 different tracts, and you've got lots of things to kind of work with and negotiate, and maybe one person takes tract 1, 2, and 3, and the other one 4, 5, 6. So partition in kind occurs when the division provides each owner a proportionate share. Limited cases where the property is easily divisible. Courts want to find land divisible. Okay, they don't like to determine or find that there's no way this property can be divided. We're going to have to sell it. So it can be complex, exactly, when there's lots of parties, moving parts. You may have 5 people, and it doesn't always have to be, well, everybody has to get their 20%. It may be, well, these 60% are one side and these 40% are another, or whatever. So it varies. If you own 1/2 of 100 acres, how much do you own? How much do you own? Who said 50? Who said 50 acres? You're wrong. If you own a half undivided interest of 100 acres, you own 1/2 or 50% of 100 acres. You don't own 50 acres. A lot of people will say that, and I get it, I understand, but it's not. So in this scenario, sure, it may be easy to divide this land up, between 2 people. It's 100 acres, let's say, and it's, pretty homogeneous. Let's just say it's row crop, or, and okay, there's a creek in the middle, but hey, half the creek kind of looks like, yeah, maybe a court or commissioners would divide it, 50 acres, 50 acres. But normally, you've got something like this, where, let's say you've got 2 people. Okay, how do you divide that? Well, so the person that ends up getting the house is probably going to get a lot less acreage, right? The person that gets the land by the creek, that's low, it's not as valuable, can't build on it, that's probably, so all these different components of land will have different values, and it all is driven by value, okay, value. So if you've got, 2 people on this, then each one should get more or less equivalent value. Now, automatically when I say value, you should think, man, well, value can oftentimes be very subjective. So partition by sale, I think of this is the house in town, and mom passed it on to the 5 kids, and so it's kind of hard to divide a house 5 ways, right? So in this scenario, the judge would normally find that the property cannot be divided and would order it sold. We've had these where we're dealing with 25 people, 26 people. Sometimes it's hard to determine how many people, right? The land's been passed on in the family for, lots of folks didn't have wills, and half of some partition cases, it's all about determining how many people do we have, and what's your interest in the land, and what's, the unknown heirs. So partition procedure. This is, I talk about this because it's different than other cases, and so just so you're aware, just so you know what you're looking at. So it really starts out, there's 2 trials in a partition case. First, there's the trial where someone has to file a lawsuit, and then the other side that didn't file the lawsuit, they have to answer the lawsuit, and there can be a back and forth, what we call legal discovery, back and forth, learning about the land. But the first trial is the court determines if the land is partitionable or not. And if the judge says, yeah, I think this 100 acres can be divided 5 ways, then he's going to say it can be divided, and I'm going to appoint special commissioners. Now, these aren't the county commissioners, and a lot of times people say, well, I know the county commissioner, and he's my friend, and well, it's not going to be the county commissioner, it's going to be 3 special commissioners, and they're landowners in the community that hopefully are familiar with land. A lot of times they're realtors or farmers, ranchers, depending on what the land is or the kind of land it is. And those special commissioners are tasked to divide the land or make a report or recommendation on how the land should be divided. How do the commissioners do that? Lots of different ways they can do that. I've seen a Harris County case, and so no surprise, Harris County, Houston. The commissioners never even went to the property, ever. Didn't even look at the property. They made a decision on how to divide the property, and the court actually said, that's okay. All the partitions that we've been involved with in this area, you know, the commissioners always want to go out and look at the property. You know, they want to drive the property, take a look at the property, sometimes multiple times. The commissioners typically want to hear from the lawyers. I always try to coordinate a meeting with my clients, with the commissioners, and sometimes we're all in one big room. Sometimes that gets a little out of hand, and so we try to separate the parties. But so, and then, you know, the commissioners come up with a report. And I guess my experience has always been, you know, if you think there's a reasonable way to divide the land, that's probably not the way the special commissioners are going to do it. They're going to do it something completely different because, you know, everybody has their own thoughts and ideas on land. We always suggest trying to reach a agreed partition, you know, something that both sides can live with or all three different parties can live with. But at the end of the day, if you can't do that, yes, your commissioners will come up with a report. They'll give it to the court, and either side can object to that report, and then the judge will determine whether the report was fair division of the property. If he does, then, you know, it stands. You can appeal that just like any other case. If the court determines, you know what, yeah, I don't think that was a very fair division of the property, then what happens? You start all over. The judge appoints a whole new set of commissioners and you start all over. So very different procedure. That's why I'm talking about it.